Ik moet even wennen aan aan deze techniek. Maar jou ben ik nog niet tegengekomen volgens mij, of niet, Axel?
Nee, ik kom net binnen, dus...
Oh, oké. Nee, goed. Hi,
Hey
dan
Axel,
zal ik...
Hoi, Bart.
het is
Nou, het
goed
werkt,
te zien.
dus bedankt.
Avatar erbij. Super.
Ja, hoe geef ik een thumbs up?
Ja, dat kan niet. Ik kan wel even een box geven.
Ja, dat werkt wel, ja. Geniaal.
Ja. Hey Wiel, jij zit bij ons op kantoor. Dus
Goed, hallo.
hi.
Dag Bart.
Eventjes om uit te leggen, dit is zeg maar de plek waar je binnenkomt.
Graag.
Maar je moet met het joystickje bij je linker of je rechterduim kan je teleporteren. Dan komt er een lijntje uit je hand en als je dan mikt op de grond, kan je loslaten. En zo kan je zeg maar jezelf begeven.
Ja,
En
helemaal goed. Er is volgens mij dan een presentatie nu, als ik het goed heb, toch? Of...
ja, we gaan beginnen in een event. Straks gaan we in de hal een beetje
Oké.
kletsen. Er zijn al wat mensen. En daarna gaan we naar de venue. Het makkelijkste wiel is als je ook gaat staan. En als je gaat zitten straks in VR, dat je dan ook echt gaat zitten in real life. Kijk, dan zit je allemaal
Ja.
ook een beetje op hetzelfde niveau. En dan
Ja.
zou ik even vragen over jullie, dat we alvast even daar naar binnen gaan. En dan komen er vanzelf zo meer mensen aan.
Ja,
Ja, ik zat ook
is
al een
goed.
dame...
Is niet gelukt.
Hey,
Bart,
Hey oma.
je
Kijk,
kan
de
duidelijk
gelijkenissen van de avatars worden steeds beter naarmate die avatars beter worden. Dat is wel mooi.
Hey Mario.
Hi.
Lijkt wel even op een
Hey,
ik ben
Bart.
heel jong
Hoe ik
uit,
eruit zie.
Mario.
Ja.
Nee.
Dus ik heb een verjoggingskoer. Dat doe je met VR, toch? Dat,
Ja.
Even kijken, er staan nog wel mensen
je
buiten.
kan niet op leeftijd doen, hè? Dat je zegt van ik
Nee.
zit tussen die leeftijd in. Dus iedereen
Ja,
is
ja,
alleen
ja.
met je kleur haar. Of
Maar dan
geen
haalt hij uit
haar,
die foto
Lucas.
natuurlijk.
Dus, Hey Roelof,
Ja,
er was meteen een mooi verzoek voor een volgende upgrade van de omgeving. En dat heette een spiegel.
ja, nee, die staat op onze roadmap.
Ah,
Dus
kijk,
misschien moeten we
kijk.
die iets naar voren halen. Nee, want
heel goed.
dat is gewoon zo. Mensen die willen zich veilig voelen in VR. En dat je niet helemaal zeker weet hoe je eruit ziet. Dat geeft toch een bepaalde onzekerheid op een of andere manier.
Ja, nou ja, dat is mooi voor de volgende versie.
toch.
Op de roadmap.
En zo'n oudere versie, nou, dat hoeft voor mij niet, Mario. Vind jij wel?
Nee, ik vind het wel leuk. Maar ik weet niet hoe ik eruit zie. Oh, dus ja, ik heb natuurlijk wel al een beetje gezien. Maar hoe je dan echt eruit ziet, dat weet je niet. Of dus hoe je
Ja.
in
Nee,
VR
ik kan even
er
een
echt
fotootje van je
uitziet.
maken en dan...
Oh ja,
dan stuur
even
ik het zo naar je
opsturen, ja. Maar hoe zie ik dan het fotootje? Dat is natuurlijk... maar dan moet je er ook weer
Nee,
uit.
ik ben nu een foto aan het maken.
Oh,
Want hoe maak je een foto dan? Want ik
je
heb
kunt
gisteren
streamen...
geprobeerd om...
Je kan
Ik heb
via het menuutje, kan je...
Ja, want ik was gisteren... Ja, op de Oculus knopje
Ja.
is dat toch?
Ja,
Maar
voor je
ik
rechts
heb
controle.
Oh ja.
gisteren geprobeerd om een foto te maken. En meestal zie je dan dat je een foto hebt gemaakt. Maar dat zag
Mhm.
ik niet. Maar
Nou, dan...
dus misschien
Ja,
deed ik het
weet je
iets
hoe ik het
verkeerd.
doe?
Ja.
Ik ga dan volgens mij naar social media iets. Op de Quest
Oh,
dan. En
ja.
dan post ik hem op mijn tijdlijn. Maar dan is hij alleen maar zichtbaar voor mij. En dan haal ik hem daar weer van af. Ja, dat is een beetje omslachtig. Dat kan ook wel makkelijker. Maar dan moet je hem met een kabel volgens
ja.
mij aan je pc hangen. En,
Dat is het. Ja.
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 Dus dan haal ik
Oké.
hem van Facebook af en dan delete ik die post. En dan,
Ik zal vast
Alles
even in de
op
zaal
Facebook,
kijken of
hè?
daar al mensen zitten.
ja.
Ben je echt zo groot? Of,
Maarten?
ja, ik zit wel op
Je
een
moet
stoel,
uit-
maar...
Nee, je moet even uit je Guardian lopen en even opnieuw het grondniveau. Dat is dat je echt de grond aanraakt bij het kalibreren, want dat heb je niet gedaan per ongeluk.
Nee, dat klopt. Ik heb geen geluid.
Martin, you're just flying so high.
Ik kan het niet horen. Ja.
Moet je me even bellen?
Dat is Tim's vader.
Ja, en alleen
gaat
het
hem
geluid... Nee, wat het probleem is, Tim, is dat hij zijn bril heeft afgedaan misschien een keer en dan die
Rolf.
knop indrukt.
Ziet er beter
Nieuwe
uit of...
avatar. Zeker.
Kijk, zie je mij?
Ja, jongen.
Hey, hallo!
Mooi man.
Hey, ik kom.
Je kan ook staan als je
Volgens mij
gewoon
kan je nog
bij
steeds
die
die
vent bent en dan
Playmobil
als
baard
verstandig
kiezen,
heb
hè,
je voor
dus,
wat langere
Kijk,
tijd
die
kan je
camera.
daar.
dat is niet veel verbeterd. Ja,
En met je joystickje kan je teleporteren. En als je naar binnen gaat, dan zul je al zien dat er wat mensen
altijd
zijn.
willen hebben natuurlijk. Hè.
Oké, ik wel.
Dus ga
Ja,
vooral
precies.
even naar binnen.
Hallo,
Dag Arjan.
nou, welkom.
Ja,
Maarten?
Kijk hoe dit werkt.
ik krijg hem niet...
Wil je proberen te bewegen? Oh, kijk, dus dat gaat
Je moet
helemaal
uit je bestaande Guardian lopen en dan een nieuwe maken. En dan moet je zeggen room skill. En dan krijg je ook de mogelijkheid om het grondniveau in te stellen. Als je dat niet krijgt, omdat je meteen moet gaan tekenen op de vloer, moet je een stapje terug doen. En dan zie je allemaal plusjes op de grond gaan. En dan moet je zelf even door je knieën gaan en dat aanraken. Het is heel makkelijk, maar je moet het wel even doen, zeg maar.
Ja, ik ga eruit.
Dat is de Chinees.
Hallo Roelof.
Hi, Arjan.
Ja,
Zo, hoe ben jij
apart
hier
dit.
terechtgekomen? Jawel hè?
Weet ik niet.
Via Lucas.
Oh,
Die
dat
heeft
weet
me
ik
een
inderdaad.
bril gestuurd en dat ben ik nu voor het
Is het
eerst
zo?
gaan proberen.
Kijk, dit is al beter.
Nog even wennen.
Kijk, dan beter.
Ja,
Ja, en nu zit je, denk
Weet niet
ik...
of je nu op een stoel
Ik
zit.
ben
Ja,
benieuwd,
klopt.
wat je ervan vindt.
Ja, en ik zou je
Ja,
aanraden om,
een
als
hele
we in de hal
andere
zijn en in deze zones dat je staat, en als we in het event echt gaan zitten, dat je dan ook echt gaat zitten, want dat is lekker. En dan heb je in ieder geval
Anders
een
moet je lang staan.
beetje dit bij.
Ja.
Oké, and Anna, for you, the whole event is in English, so that shouldn't be any problem.
In mijn kamer en naast
Ja,
mij staat
that's good.
ook een collega.
Oké,
Volgens mij sta ik
en
nu met mijn rug naar hem toe.
Oké.
Ja.
Maar die zou eventueel
Ja,
mee
hoor.
kijken met de live.
Hey, Bart.
Ja, hoor je wat? Hey, Alex, hij doet het.
Dat hebben we op de laptop staan. Dus zo
Hoor je me?
kan mee,
Of-
zodat
Hij
we
doet
dus
het.
even van,
Ah, super. Alex, heb jij jezelf goed gekalibreerd of zit je op
Nee,
een
dan
hele
hoor ik
lage
weer niks.
plank?
Karin? Oh. Nee, geen geluid. Wat moet ik gaan doen?
Nu ben ik iets dichtbij.
Je hebt
Zit
de
ik-
bril.
Ja,
Ik probeer het... ja, ik weet niet of je het ziet. Onderaan zit een
Nee,
knopje.
Moet je me even bellen, Tim.
Ja?
Bril.
Ja?
Onderaan zit een knopje.
Daar hoor ik
Jullie
Bart
kunnen in
wel.
principe gewoon...
En Stefan zie ik ook. Maar ik heb nog geen
jullie kunnen in
geluid.
principe gewoon naar binnen. You can go inside and just mingle with a lot of people who are already there.
Nee,
and,
ik kan nog niet
We
lopen.
will,
Alright.
we'll give you a signal when the event
Nee.
starts.
Nee, doet het niet.
Zie je mij daar
Hey,
nu ook
ja.
staan? Of niet?
Arjan,
Ja, hallo. Bart.
hi. Was je al toegevoegd aan het kanaal of heb je op een andere manier de software geïnstalleerd?
Ik heb een link van jou gekregen en ik heb de software
Ja.
geïnstalleerd en
Dan moet je even...
het is gelukt.
Ah, helemaal super. Ik dacht dat ik nog iets moest doen aan mijn kant, maar mooi dat het gelukt is, Arjan. Morgen ben je er ook bij? Dat zou mooi zijn.
Ja, morgen ben ik er ook bij.
Ja, lijkt me het
Nou,
snelst.
super joh. Nee, het is echt net echt. Dus we hebben eigenlijk een soort inloop en in de hal kan je een beetje praten. Dit is meer een soort landingspagina waar je kan beginnen. En dan hebben we vanzelf straks een event.
Nee, ik hoor daar. Hier
Als
hoor
je
ik
in de
niks.
zaal bent, ga je ook lekker in het echt zitten. En daarna ga je virtueel zitten. Zodat je ook echt rustig kan kijken. En probeer vooral, als er vragen zijn, naar voren te lopen naar de microfoon. En dan kan je je vragen stellen. Dus ik zou zeggen, ga naar binnen en ga contact maken met de andere bezoekers. En dan begint het vanzelf.
Ga ik doen, dankjewel Bart.
Ja hoor, daar ga je
Goed, met jou?
ben je nu?
Ja,
Ik
iets
ben,
harder nog.
Ik ben naast jou.
Hey. Hey Christian.
Ja, ik zie het. Ja, hij doet het.
Hey,
maar ik
Alex,
kan
zie
nog
je
niet
mij,
lopen,
Kim,
Tim.
of niet?
Was het toch gelukt met dat
Ik
bericht?
zag je net, maar nu sta ik bovenop je of zoiets, denk ik.
Alex,
Nee, dit is
shit.
naast.
Ja, nu wel. Ja, ik doe het.
Ja, alle plaatjes aan het binnenhalen.
Ja,
Maar,
zit
was
jij
het
op je
dat
naam?
bericht?
Ja,
Zit jij op stoel hier? Of
Alles doet het.
sta je? Ik zit op een stoel.
Ja, lukt, Alex?
Ja, oké.
Ja, hij
Groter dan ik.
Nou,
Nu ben jij groter, maar dat is wel een verschil dat hij echt merkt als je zit of staat.
Nee, inderdaad.
Ben je al... ik was vanmiddag al even
Naar
binnen.
binnen gaan, we wachten even
Maar toen
iedereen
was ook
op.
de-
En dan, Jay
Hey,
is er
Stefan.
van
Zullen we
KLM.
die
Alex,
dame
kijk.
van HP
Tim,
was er
wat
ook.
leuk,
Toen kwam ik
man.
daar om 2 uur al
Ja,
tegen of
leuk.
zo.
Ik wilde-
Ik heb Tim al zoveel van gehoord. Ik denk, ik wil het eens een keer
Even
zien.
kijken.
Dan zegt hij, doe maar
Kijk,
mee
tof.
vanmiddag.
Kim die had
Ja, leuk. Kan mooi.
connectie-issues
Mooi.
net. Of in ieder geval, er gebeurde wat.
We hebben
Dus
vandaag
ik weet niet of-
KLM die aan het praten is
Ja,
ook
ja,
en
ja,
HP
dat
volgens
was
mij.
net.
Dus
Dus
er
ik
zijn wat
weet niet,
interessante
die heb ik al
prestaties gegaan. Nou, mooi.
Ja, leuk.
Top. Dan kunnen we zoals met mij beginnen. Mag je wel vast wel even naar de lobby gaan en dan gaat het zometeen... zal Bart even melden.
This conversation.
Oh yeah, Anna, you are from abroad?
Yeah, I'm from Germany.
From Germany, okay. Hey, nice
Yeah.
meeting you. So, are you familiar with this kind of way of
VR
communicating?
environments, kind of.
Yeah. Since the project, yeah.
The project, okay. Yeah. But is this the first time in being in this kind of venue?
Yeah,
And
kind of. We did like in the beginning of the project, we tested the whole Connect to setting with Bart and Tim together, and since then we're
okay.
just working on it. Yeah.
And where do you use it for?
Support
Where are you
Uh,
using it for?
Currently, we're just using it for Connect to, trying to develop hand tracking options.
Aha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that in the future you don't need controls anymore. You can just
Oh,
gesture
use
with your
your-
hands. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Hi.
Which group are you?
Hello.
Hi,
Hey.
bye.
Hey.
Hi.
Nou.
Zo.
Even de bril opdoen.
Zo,
Het,
je bent er ook weer, Roy.
dus,
Kijk wat
Dus,
vandaag nog
ja,
even
ja.
wacht.
Moet ik daar zijn?
Ja.
Er is nog
Ja,
een
ik
hele
vond het
grote
wel een
stap
leuke
omhoog.
ervaring.
Oh, even in het
I
theater.
really liked the experience yesterday. To,
Especially this kind of, it's called the
Hi,
coffee
Axel.
corner or the social corner.
Hi.
It's completely different than having a normal online Zoom
Zo.
call. It's just quite static. It's more
And hi,
dynamic.
Lieke.
Awesome experience, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
It's
It's really
good
nice.
news.
So today
You can,
we have
you-
another theme.
Within some few minutes, you
Oh.
have the feeling you're in the theater.
Already,
En Roy, are you,
je spreekt
at
het
home,
Nederlands, hè? Je kunt dan naar
Roy?
binnen
Ja.
gaan.
Today
Oh,
my
you
home.
can
go
Yesterday
to
was
the
the
campus.
campus. Today my home. So.
Oh, that's
Ah,
good.
yes, yeah.
Hey Lucas,
Dus even
wat
wat bedoelde
verplaatsen.
jij met het bericht?
Oh,
Really.
it's so loud.
Even kijken. Hey, Maurice.
Hey.
Ik denk dat we iedereen de zaal in gaan halen.
Yeah, let's go inside.
Theater.
Yeah, getting used to the software now, so.
Dat was een beetje raar, zei Steek.
Oh, vandaar.
That's in the theater.
Snap het. Kijk, we zijn hier. Dus ik had nog een oude versie. Hey Maurice.
De bril weer af.
Yeah, let's hoover that side. See what happens.
Hey, Roelof, zullen we de zaal ingaan?
Ja, ik vind het goed. Heb jij iedereen van het plein of zou ik even voor de zekerheid kijken?
Sectoren
die het moeite of
think
moeite
it's
hebben
outside
tijdens
of
de
this
idee van
room.
ja.
Kijk eens, kijk eens.
Het is wel, het is wel
maar dat is wel
meerwaarde ten opzichte van gewoon een teamsessie. Maar
show.
het is wel veel vermoeiender met de
We
bril
hebben
op
gewoon
en,
mensen die echt die kunnen niet bij elkaar
wat
komen.
dat betreft duurt het langer, dus misschien moeten ze wel zeggen dat
Oké,
let's
let's-
tussendoor hebt of zo. Maar dan
We're going to start in 2 minutes. So if everybody can take
eind december.
a seat,
met goed, veel plezier.
then in 2 minutes we will start.
kijken naar de mensen die je hebt uitgenodigd.
hebben gebruikt voor die meanderopstelling. Dat gewoon qua tijdslijn en druk. Maar hier moeten we even over praten. Ja, precies. Dan moeten we even gewoon zien binnenkort, want we zijn er nu mee bezig, hè?
So,
Yeah, and there's also people upstairs.
Ja, leuk.
perfect.
Volgens mij gaan we zo beginnen. Ja, we gaan zo beginnen. Ziet er mooi uit. Nee, ik ga even zitten en jullie aanhoren.
Hoi, ja, helemaal top. Een hand schudden of een box. Dan kan
Zullen we
ook
even
graag.
kijken waar de rest blijft?
Je weet dat niet. Als je alle knoppen indrukt. En die. Ja, zo ja. Daarom.
Ik heb nog een andere vraag
Nee,
voor
goed,
je.
jongen.
Een collega van me.
Van
die,
ABB,
aan de
toch? Nee, wat is het nou?
mobiliteitskant,
Van ABT.
Die,
Abbott.
die heeft morgen
nog
Abbott.
nooit van
Abbott.
stoel
En
gewisseld in de
spreekt
Kan
van
het
de
niet goed?
overheid uit.
Okay.
OTT, kan dat?
I think
Past en
of
vakantie.
we're going to start.
Ik kan het
Nee,
ook
nee, nee.
vragen.
Het is
So-
Het verhaal vandaag, als dat past.
Oké, goed zo.
If
Misschien
everybody
dat het nog iets is voor
has
je
taken place,
bij dat event
Um,
te vertellen.
I'd like to welcome everybody in the
Ga uit van niet, maar wie
in the audience. You're still here as an avatar, but there are also people viewing from a camera outside this building. And we're going to start with the second day of the Industrial Reality 2021. It has been organized by the Industrial Reality Hub. It's an hub consisting of 17 members and knowledge partners who does exist for the past 3 years. And this is also our third event. Today we're going to talk about learning, and we have 2 interesting presentations. So first, my name is Lucas Harbers. I'm a business developer at OV Software. I will be your host today. So if you have any questions or any remarks, please, you can see me. You can not touch me, but ask me questions. So I'm very proud to share the program. We did start a little bit later than 4 o'clock, but we have enough time at the end to also have conversations in the lobby or outside this room. Our program today is we will start in a few minutes with Jay. He will tell a very interesting story about his passion and his work and private life around KLM and traveling. And he will tell something about continuous learning. And he will be followed up by a presentation of Cecile. She will tell something very interesting about immersive training and her experience in this way of working. So I can tell a lot about that, but I won't do that because they can do it themselves much better. After the 2 presentations, there will be some time to have some questions. And after the 2 presentations, I will ask Jay and Cecile come on stage and we'll have a little panel discussion. After the panel discussion, we will end the session in this room and we will go into a lobby to have some virtual drinks and chat. So I'm very pleased you're here at this moment, and I'll like to get Jay on the podium and start with the presentation. I think Bart, you can give some help with getting the other presentation on the screen.
Oh,
yes?
Yeah, but it was possible.
Okay.
Maybe even it was possible to introduce him.
Ah, yes. Okay. Jay, I think you will recognize yourself on the big screen. And as I already told, I'm living next to also an airport, a very small one in Teugen in the Netherlands, but you're from the big one, from KLM. So Jay, please, let's start your presentation. Good luck.
Okay. Yeah, that's not my best photo, but you know, it's good enough. Hey, listen, my name is again Jay Maloney. I work for the KLM. I've been working for the KLM for about 20 years now. Lots of different positions within the KLM, but from the last 3-4 years, I've been.
Yeah. Can you stand up? Because you have to be behind the screen.
Ah, okay.
And if you
is that better?
If you click here with your index finger, you get a pop-up bubble. You can change the slides. That's all you need to do.
Okay. Yep. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put your hand up in the air if you can hear me okay.
Yeah.
Okie dokie, cool. Again, okay. So as I said, to Jay Maloney, 20 years KLM. Last 3 or 4 years, I've been messing around with these new XR technologies, virtual and augmented reality, and also doing a lot of work regarding artificial intelligence, trying to find out where the mix is and what's good for our company and our airline. Because as the most of you know, we're going through a very unprecedented difficult times at the moment. So as a company, we're looking to the future, because if you look at the KLM, it's got at the moment 3 business tracks. One is, of course, passengers flying people from A to B. Then we also have a cargo track, which is flying stuff from A to B and sometimes C. We also have a third part, which is our engineering and maintenance. We actually do maintenance for many other companies on the aircraft, you know. But we want in the future to diversify. I want our product range to go further, and this is why we're looking at XR technologies. So we've got actually 3 tracks within XR within the KLM, which are going on at the moment. The first track is internal digitalization. So we're trying to digitalize our own internal processes and trainings. So you're talking about the training of stewardesses, the training of pilots. With virtual reality, you can do lots of things. Our second one is we're trying to innovate our products at the moment, which is more towards our customers, where we're looking at offering new technologies and experience via virtual and augmented reality to our customers. And last but not least, We're looking at completely new products of services which do not exist at the moment. So this is where it's very, very interesting. So anyway, just this is where we are. You can read this. I don't have to read this for you. You can read it yourself. But everything which we're doing now is going to have an effect on all stakeholders. Next slide. Okay, so these are the areas of interest for the KLM at the moment. You can see it, the robots, big data, system integration, Internet of Things, cloud computing, and right in the corner here, you've got XR. Now, XR is for us virtual and augmented reality, but also a little bit of mixed reality. One of the things which is quite important here is on this side, piloted transport. And when I talk to our pilots about this, they say to me, yeah, nobody is going to go into an airplane without a pilot. Jay, stop it. Stop automating it. Nobody's going to do this. So we did, about 1 year ago, we did a little bit of a research. And what we did, we asked 1,000 people, if I make the ticket 50% cheaper, would you be prepared to go into a plane without a pilot and fly? Now, 90% of the people said no. So, okay, 10% said yes. So we said, okay, that's interesting. Let's see. If we make that ticket 80% cheaper, what would happen then? 70% said yes. They would go into a plane without a pilot because if it's automated right and if the security measures are in place. So you can see a quantum shift going on within our customers, and it's price related. And it looks like safety, you can buy it. So this our pilots, they're not right. In the end, we're going to go to piloted transport. We know this, and this possible now. It's technically possible now. If you look at the XR kind of things, we're doing in XR was it XR experiences. We're very, very busy. Virtual travel. I'll explain to you in a minute what that is for our point of view. Telepresence, it's this. Yeah, we've got 3 tracks in telepresence. We've got virtual meetings. We've got virtual training, but we also have, of course, this sort of thing. You know, conferences and spaces, virtual spaces. Another one which we're very interested in at the moment is virtual onboarding. Now, what does that mean? Within the KLM, we have we used to have a lot of people coming from different countries in the world to work for the KLM. Lots of people from India, from Tata, and lots of people from other countries. We found that it cost a lot of time and energy to train those people to get used to not only the way of working within the KLM, but also getting used to the culture of Holland. Yeah? So we decided to create an environment and a virtual reality package where people could actually take part in meetings and learn the Dutch culture before they actually got on the plane and came to us. You know, how do Dutch people meet? You know, one of the things which we find very interesting is Dutch people have the tendency to interrupt. It's the way they work, it's the way they talk, and it's the way they do things. But people from India, they don't do this. They think it's very disrespectful to do this. So it's very important that they understand that's the way the communication goes here in Holland. If you want to get things done, sometimes you have to shout. Huh? So, you know, but that's just taking, going to meetings before you go there. But we also have we built 360 environments all around us where people can actually walk through the buildings. They can sit in the chairs. They can feel what it's like to be in a KLM building, and they can also meet our boss. They can talk to him, and he can live as well. So he will explain where they are, what they're doing, what we expect from them. So that's the onboarding thing for us. The virtual reality entertainment system. What are we doing with this? Now, I don't know how many of you people have flown in a KLM airplane, but sometimes our virtual reality entertainment system has issues. And that's with every airline as well. So it's not just the KLM. One of the ideas is to actually put the virtual reality system, the entertainment system of the KLM into virtual reality. So when you go into a plane, you get a headset. and you will put that headset on, and you can customize everything in that headset so as you want it. We've been doing some testing with this entertainment system within Virtuality, and it works very well. And it's what we noticed straight away. It's not only for people who want to have their own entertainment system in front of them, but we've found that people also who are afraid to fly, they really like this system because they're able to project their own environment around them, what they choose. It gives them a sense of a feeling of room. You know, they don't feel locked up. They're able to breathe. And there are also lots of training videos as well. If you have a panic attack in a plane, you can actually literally have somebody in front of you who will help you through that attack. And of course, the idea with the virtual entertainment system is eventually that to connect it to Netflix or to connect it to your home. So then you have completely your own environment. We want to make this as good as possible and as customizable as possible for everybody in the plane. So going back to this, we've got also virtual reality and AR design within the KLM and definitely within Schiphol. We worked with Schiphol together for this. We do lots of design for buildings and rooms and production environments within our engineering and maintenance system. Of course, we do that still on the old traditional way with the draftman's table in front of you. You're drawing your environment, and then you put it into AutoCAD, and you're making your 3D environment. It's great. It still works, but we want to make this also in virtuality. We want to design within virtuality, and where you can literally walk through buildings, and you can feel the presence and feel the measurement and feel exactly where you are. So we see a lot of potential on this. Going on to the other side, we have also the internal digitalization, which I talked about. We train 50,000 stewardesses every year. And at the moment, we do that physically. Well, before COVID, we did that physically. And this is a very intensive training. You have to be able to put out a fire. You have to know where everything is in the plane. You have to, if you land in water, you have to know what you have to do and how you pull the flare out, and lots of things which you need to be trained. This is very, very, very expensive and time consuming in real world to do it. And what we noticed is that some people are very good in some things and they are less good in other things. So what we're doing now, and we're spending a lot of time and energy on this, is actually training everybody virtually. So our stewardesses are going through this process in virtuality at the moment, putting out a fire, dealing with difficult customers, getting people out of the sea, everything you can think about which happens in a plane. We're making trainings for our cabin crew at the moment, and the response that we're getting is well, we didn't expect it. We didn't expect that people would be so enthusiastic about training in virtuality. Of course, you get lots of comments about this big thing on your head, but most of the people, they say this is great. I can even do this at home if I want to. Also, regarding training, as you know, we have lots of pilots within the KLM. And our pilots, they have to continually keep up to date with what they do in airplanes and how it works. So they train every single month. And we've got 13 flight simulators within the KLM. And they're very, very expensive. And to actually reserve time in a flight simulator is very expensive. So during COVID, what we decided to do, because you have two sorts of procedures. You've got ground procedures and you've got flight procedures. Now, we thought, wouldn't it be a good idea just to at least virtualize the ground procedures? That's starting up the motor, checking the battery, the APU, going through your list and all the things which pilots do on the ground procedures. So what we did, we virtualized this, really did it. And it was a it's always bigger than what you think it would be, but all of our, at least within our KLC City Hopper wing of the KLM, all pilots do all ground procedures in virtuality now as we speak. And what's really cool about this is because within KLC, Embraer, these are the airplanes which we use. Now, Embraer, they contacted us and they said, we think is so cool what you guys are doing. We want to actually buy this product from you. So, we're talking about an airline that made a piece of software for itself. And you've got a major aerospace company who makes airplanes. They want to actually use our software for the rest of their market. This makes us very proud because we did it. We did it between other things. So it's really cool that Embraer want to take this off. So we're commercializing then our own products. We like this very much. Predictive maintenance, the next one. What is this? Now, what we're looking at is more augmented reality and more AI. Within the KLM, we have we call that it's a war room, and so all our information systems they're monitored 24/7 by all people who are they're looking at screens the whole day, and they're checking how many tickets are being sold, which system is out at the moment, which hard disks are still going, so we said, okay, this is very time consuming, and it seems to be built on relationships, because if there's an issue, if you ask these people, how do you fix it? They say, now I'll phone this guy or I'll phone this guy. We said, no, we need to automate this. And we also need to get rid of that big, huge wall full of monitors, because they're not needed anymore, because everybody's squinting at the monitors and trying to read those little green lines. And it's very time consuming and difficult for them. So what we're doing now as we speak, we've invested in quite a few HoloLens 2s, and we're automating our system using machine learning. We've got lots of data which we're checking now and making algorithms for our basic incident process, and it seems to work. The biggest challenge is, of course, adoption. We've got lots of people who've been doing this job for 25 years, and they say, I'm not wearing that thing on my head. I don't believe it. But once you get them into the system and you make it a bit of a game for them, then they come on board. And it's really, really happening now. So predictive maintenance using AI and AR. This is something which we as KLM are investing in heavily at the moment. And last but not least, I want to go right down to the bottom, and before I go to virtual traveling, because I want to stay on that one a little bit, is low code and no code. Within the KLM, it's becoming a bit of a challenge now to find the right resources, which are good in the languages which we use, C#, was it C++, Java, whatever, all these languages, and also to make the products which we think our customer needs. We've tried to source certain things out to India, to Poland, or whatever, but still we find we still need to make things within the KLM itself for our competitive advantage. Only we can't find the people. We cannot find programmers at the moment, and that sort of people. So what we're investing in now is no code and low code. We're trying to make our applications in a different way, and trying to also at the same time reskill our population, which is, let's be honest with you, not able to code in C# or C++. So we're getting them into this system, and it seems to work okay. It's not optimal yet, but we see that there are more chances for us as a company using these sort of platforms than actually finding programmers at the moment. So, these are the quick few things. As I said, few experiments ongoing and internal digitalization. But before we go, I want to zoom back to virtual traveling. Why? If you look at the KLM and you look at the market in which the KLM is, and just take a look at the whole world population, what you'll see, and we did a little bit of research a few years ago. We actually asked the question: how many people in the whole world travel more than 100 kilometers from their village or town? And it was rough. It was not exact, but it was just to get an idea. the information that we got back was that it's about 15%. So 15% of the whole world travels more than 100 kilometers from its village or town or whatever. And if you look in that 15%, you know, there are lots of people going in boats and planes and trains and lots of different ways. And if you look at the share of the KLM in that 15%, it's something like 0.3%. It could even be less than this. So everything we do as a company, every profit we make, every loss we make, every person who works for us, every ticket we sell, everything we do is in that 0.3%. And all of a sudden we said, wait a minute, what about that 85%? That's the new market. This is where we want to go. This is where we want to do. And of course, you do not want to get everybody into a plane. That 85%, you don't want to get them into a plane because it's not good for the environment. It's probably also impossible to facilitate this. But what we want to do is actually create a fourth business line within the KLM, and that business line will be virtual travel. That will be creating experiences. We're actually building now as we speak, and we're not talking about standing in with your headset in a 360 video and then looking around and clicking and walking. No, we're talking about life. We're talking about creating an ecosystem where you can literally, you've got an app on your phone, you click your app, it'll send you into a virtual world, and you'll be able to talk to your family, to your friends, or whatever live. But they can also experience it with you. We also want to take the fourth dimensional aspects of this: touch, feel, water, heat, also into consideration. A good example is the other day we were talking about. One of my colleagues came back from the weekend, and he said, I was in the flower fields in the weekend. I made these fantastic 360 videos of films, of photos. And I looked at them. I said, "This is really cool." And the first thing you want to do when you're in that photo, you want to touch the flower. You literally want to pick it up and smell it. But within 360, that's not possible. So what we thought, wouldn't it be really, really cool if we could actually go to one of these flower farmers, and we say, okay, we're going to put 10 drones down there, and we're going to attach these drones to virtual reality headsets. So literally, do you all know that Segway thing? You know, sort of a thing which you go onto, which you lean forward and lean from the side. So you'll be in a sort of Segway machine, and you'll be actually steering that drone. And you can go to a certain depth. You can actually go to the flower. You can actually go around. You can really experience this live. You can see them floating in the wind, and that schedule will be in a compartment where you'll be able to smell the flowers. You'll be able to touch the flowers. This is where we want to go. We see a massive market for this sort of thing. You know, imagine going. Your whole family is going to India and you can't. So that in the evening they're sitting down in a restaurant, and you know, they get a menu and they look at the menu. I want this, I want this, I want this. But you're there in virtuality. You're able to converse with these people just like we're conversing now in virtuality. So they get a menu, physical. You get a virtual menu. You choose what to eat. Your food is brought with a drone to your house. You can actually you can experience the same experience with them. You can walk around with them. You can smell the same things that they're smelling. I don't know if it's a good idea in India, but you know, these are all things which are technically possible. We just need an ecosystem to be able to do this, and this is where we are looking at with virtual travel. And last but not least, regarding virtual travel, the biggest driver is the social aspects of virtual travel. You know, this has the opportunity of, if we get this done right, to actually give everybody a chance to experience things which are normally not possible. You know, imagine a class of kids in I don't know, in Africa somewhere. They'd love to go to Paris for a day. Yeah? And if you're able to transport this class to Paris for a day, you give them an experience of Paris, how it really is, and what it's like to walk up the Eiffel Tower, what it's like to walk around Paris itself. You're not only giving them an experience, but you're making it equal. I think virtual reality is a big equalizer for me. So I see lots of potential for virtual traveling. And I think that's going to be not only the biggest market very soon, but I think it's gonna transcend into other products and technologies within no time. So anyway, I'm waffling on, I see. So anyway, these are a few photos of things which we're doing at the moment. There's me with Peter Elbers there in the middle. That's what it looks like when you're in the office. That's our cockpit there, which we virtualized. Me in a meeting room, and this is one of our custom meeting rooms, which we use daily, by the way. We meet every day in virtuality. Not only me, but people who have nothing to do with technology meet in virtuality. And misschien may be interesting to tell you about what's telepresence. Meeting in virtuality for us. If you look at Air France KLM, we have an headquarters in Amsterdam, we have a headquarters in Paris, we have a headquarters in Toulouse, and we have a headquarters in Valbonne. We have mixed teams. So I have colleagues which are French, and French colleagues have Dutch colleagues. What we did before COVID was fly back and forth the whole day. I flew two to three times a week sometimes. Financially, it's almost 40 million a year. And that's only the cost of the flights and the hotels. But there's a lot of frustration when you're delayed at an airport. You don't want to go because you think, yeah, what am I doing here? This meeting doesn't mean anything for me. So what we did with virtual meetings, we said, listen, let's create something and use it. And we industrialized it. We didn't. It's not just a question of putting a headset on. People are trained, and eventually it's going to. We expect this year it's going to save us at least 4 million. Which is, it's a huge big business case, but what's more important is that the KLM has got the motto "Fly responsibly," and I think if you say this, then you have to do this, and this is what we're doing now. We're trying to fly responsibly. We're trying to cut down our footprint. It's very important. And then we're on the last slide. So these are the few quotes which I use sometimes. I know. Was it a lot of information in a very short amount of time? And of course, you can always find me or whatever after this session, and I will answer all questions which are possible. But if there are any questions now, I would say shoot. Was it so clear? Yep.
Question.
Go for it.
If anyone has a question, please stand up and go find the microphone, then everybody can hear. Robin, can you stand there for the microphone? Yes, and ask a question.
Let me check. Can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit closer to the microphone. Oh,
1 second.
Bart will help a little bit.
Ja, if you just stand over here, Robin, als je hier even gaat
staan.
Yeah. Ik denk dat het nu al goed is.
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, great. Yes.
Yes, good.
Robin
Voek, Abbott Nutrition. How do you keep your stuff up to date? Meaning that if a procedure changes for a pre-flight check, how do you keep it up to date, and how do you include all that material in your augmented or virtual reality?
Well, it's just quite simple. We work agile within the KLM. So part of our teams are our pilots and also the people who are responsible for keeping the information up to date. We get that information, we'll start a sprint, and then we'll just add that information to the new situation.
And how would something like that? How long does it take for something simple?
Well, it depends what you're looking at. Don't forget, if you look at flight procedures within a cockpit, there are so many different ways of doing things. So what we did, we actually chose the most common flight procedures, ground procedures, and we said these are what we're going to virtualize, and we're able to do these in such a way we're able to take them apart and put them back together in different ways whenever we want. So we work in blocks.
Okay, thanks.
Is it clear?
Yep, thank you.
Cool.
Okay, are there any other questions to Jay? Are you still thinking about it? What we can do, Jay, is that we'll end the presentation. After the presentation of Cecile, we get back to the panel discussion. So maybe we have also some time to think about it.
Sure.
Yeah, and
no
Lucas,
Yes.
maybe there's also questions in the live stream. So maybe when we get back, there are some extra questions over there.
Ah, and how, Bart, how will we get the questions from the live stream back on the podium? It's someone is.
Yeah, they will
bringing them
appear
up?
out of nowhere.
Ah, oh, great. Augmented reality, really. It's on the practice. Thank you very much. Jay, thank you very much for
no problem
taking us along with I was impressed what's going on at this moment. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers.
Then I'd like to make room for Cecile. Cecile's taking us along with immersive training with Hewlett Packard. So maybe Cecile, you can. Oh wait,
Let me try.
I will use a slide because here's a nice actual picture of you, so you can compare your avatar with your real life picture at this moment. And you're also evangelist, so please take us along with your experience and your message. Yes.
Yeah. So
I'll set it up for you.
Yes.
And good afternoon, everybody.
There, you can open the menu.
Okay. And if I open that, just trying. Okay, I see that. Okay, clear. Yeah, so good afternoon, everybody. So thanks for inviting me. And I was really impressed by all the presentation made by Jay before. It's crazy all what KLM is doing in VR. Really, kudos to you guys. So yeah, my name is Cécile Tesna Dumoncel. I'm French. And I'm the XR lead for Europe at HP, and I'm also evangelist of the technology. So what I like to go through today is really focusing on the training and all the different aspects of the VR related to this this new application. So let me see if I can change the slide. Yes. Yeah. So let me move a bit. Yeah. Okay. So we are investing in VR because we consider that it's the new generation, the really new revolution of computing. We have had PCs and mobile, and we see XR, so AR and VR, becoming the next computing device, and that progressively will replace our traditional PCs or mobile. So the first generation, the BX set that we all have on head today, are the first generation, and you may imagine if you look at the future that they will get thinner and thinner, that you will have more and more natural interaction, what we call the organic user interface, replacing our keyboards, replacing our mouse with the sensors that will capture our gesture, our eye tracking, and different things of bioanalytics that will make that in the future we foresee that people can be equipped with simple glasses interacting with content that will be personalized and on the cloud. So that's really important for us. VR is, we see it as the future of computing. And we are at year 2 or 3 of the VR revolution. And we start seeing a lot of the companies developing VR application. And clearly KLM was a very good example because what I've seen, what Jay explained, they are developing VR for all the use cases we foresee. And the reason companies are investing, it's mainly because it's providing a tangible ROI in all businesses. So the biggest application is training, but you can see for architecture, for product development, engineering, healthcare, and all the entertainment industry, VR is becoming a new technology and it's growing very, very fast. So it's very interesting because we didn't sync up with Jay, and I find out that in KLM they are using VR in all these bubbles. So very, very nicely meeting together. But so I will personally focus on training because we really foresee this at HP as the biggest use case for VR. And the reason basically VR is growing so fast in training and is winning in training, it's because of the way our brain is learning. It's a perfect solution to enhance the existing training. It's not replacing all the training that companies can run, but it's a very, very good complementary. And when you see the difference between a traditional learning, where you are kind of passive listening to a lecture or reading a book, you learn by watching. You have limited repetition, and it's usually expensive. At some point, Jay mentioned the flight simulator that are expensive. And you can do basic data. You get basic data out of the learning experience. I have no way to measure or to monitor the way my message that I'm providing here today will be perceived to you. I just can say, okay, I have a lot of nice people in the room, but are they getting it? Are they interested? I have no clue to measure that. So with the immersive learning, we clearly move to the next, it's a next step. So you are more engaged, you learn by doing things. You can repeat as much as you want. There's no basically limitation. It's efficient. It's much cheaper, affordable, and you can get insight or data. So that's all the reason that makes that companies are investing in training, in VR for training. And what I like these numbers here, we measure the retention rate after 1 year. So retention rate is the percentage of the content you remind after 1 year that you have done a certain training. So when you see by lecture, you remind 5% of what you learned. So unfortunately for me, probably in 1 year from now, you will remind 5% of what I said. And it's not necessarily the key message or the important things. It can be the color of my avatar shirt or the color of the wall, and not necessarily the content. So 5% is very small. If you are reading, you will remind 10%. So it's better, but it's still 10%. It's very small. If you are doing learning something through a VR training, because you are immersed, because you are doing the things, your brain will perceive it completely different. It will be printed in your brain in a different place, not in the learning area of the brain, but in the experience area. So you will learn much more, so you will remind 75%. And this 75% is very, very close to what an actual real hands-on training retention rate would be. So that number are very, very interested, and that's clearly the reason that companies it makes sense to invest in VR training development. You learn better and you learn faster. And the interesting thing is that there are, I would say, very obvious training that you can imagine. So maintenance and procedure. So Jay mentioned the cockpit training or the cabin crew. You can learn very basic maintenance procedures. You can also, it can be also very useful for high risk and safety. Imagine the military, the first responder, firewalkers. All these people have to be trained, and usually it's in dangerous situations. So being able to replicate it in VR, it makes a lot of sense, and allow to replicate much more time. And something that is, I keep it for the last part because it can be the most surprising one. You can also learn soft skills in VR. So it's kind of using the role gameplay type of trainings when you can have manager training, how to run a performance interview, for example, or you can have sales being trained on negotiating. You can have people being trained on unconscious bias. Lot of things can be done also in VR on the soft training. So so you can see there is basically no limit on what you can learn in VR. And it's really, I think the big things to learn is the 75%. It's really amazing that you are learning better in VR. So let me focus now on HP. HP, you will know HP. We celebrate last year our 80th anniversary. So we are an old startup from the Silicon Valley. And we believe in reinventing. So if you are capable to stay during so long, it's because we have been capable to reinvent our technologies, and that's the reason why we are investing in VR. And in virtual reality, we are able to provide the most comprehensive VR portfolio. So we have our headset, and I will go in detail on that. But we also have our traditional PCs to run them. It can be towers, mobile, backpacks. So you can get the full solution from us. And because VR, it's not only about having a hardware, but it's also having a solution. We have set up an HP VR solution partners. So a set of software developers that will provide and develop for the companies the necessary application that you will need. So typically, if you are, let me give you an example, you need a training on for fire workers. We do have sets of software developers that are providing such a solution for you. So to start with, we have two headsets. So the first one we launched is the HP Reverb Gen 2. It's an high resolution, super clear, and very comfortable. And why do we focus on these three? The high resolution, it allows you to have very immersive experience. Back to Jay's comment, if you're imagining the cockpit 3D simulation of an aircraft, if you have an high resolution headset, you are capable to reproduce with the tiny details of each controller's buttons of the cockpits, so that the pilot can be really trained, having completely immersive and real training. So the high resolution allow to make more immersive training. The clarity as well is very important, because if you want really to be, let's imagine you have 1 hour training, it's super important to be in an immersive and natural environment that feels that you completely forgot you are not in the real world. And also the comfort is important. So I think at some point Jay mentioned these big things you have on your head. We are making our headset super light to allow, and super light and comfortable to allow long hours training. So that's our first headset. And now I will, and we have the second one, which is kind of revolutionary in the VR space, and that really fits on the training environment. So this new generation that we just launched 2 months ago, the HP Reverb Gen 2 Omnicept Edition, is what we call an intelligent headset. Why is it intelligent? It's because on top of the regular VR headset, we add a bioanalytic sensor embedded in the headset. So we have eye tracking and pupillometry. We also add heart rate measurement, and we have a face camera that is measuring the bottom part of your face. So you can imagine that with all these real-time data inputs, you can, software developer can create more realistic avatars, for example. So I could have my avatar is moving, but it's based on the sound. If I have a face camera, it can be exactly my own face movement that would be reproduced in the avatar, for example. Eye tracking and pupillometry. Eye tracking can be very good for if you do a design reviews, for example. You can really see where the customer is focusing his view, what is important for him. Or in training, you can measure if the trainee has really looked at what he was supposed to look at. So having all these data enable much more contextual and immersive experience, and it also provide inputs after the training. And so, as I said, it's a user-centric experience, and it's an ecosystem. So you do have the headset that is providing data. We have developed a set of SDKs to integrate in the experience, and we have a set of partner programs if it's for university, if it's for developers, if it's for enterprise. The licensing options are different. I will remind this at the end, but if you're interested, we have a very detailed portal sharing a lot of information on Omnicept that you can find here at developers.hp.com/omnicept. And there is two ways to use Omnicept. The first thing is that if you are developing an application, you can just use the raw data, but we have also mixed with artificial intelligence. So Omnicept is a perfect fusion between virtual reality and AI. So because our data science team developed for now 2 years a very unique artificial intelligence that is providing inputs on what is called cognitive load. I don't know if you're familiar with cognitive load. It's something that is developed by all the neuroscience and training university. Basically, the cognitive load is the amount of mental effort that is required to perform a task or learn something. I think it's a big name, but it's something that you will feel yourself when you are learning something new. You will spend time, effort to understand, to practice. And when you are practicing something that you know for years, it seems to be completely transparent for you as a reflex. And that's basically what this cognitive load is. You can see here, there is a direct connection between the cognitive load in black and the growth of the expertise in red. Basically what it says is that the more you are trained on something, the better you know, and the better you master the task, the better your expertise is growing. So if we are capable to measure the cognitive load, we are capable to measure the effort to learn, the user engagement during the training, and the expertise growth, the content understanding during the training. So that's a very powerful indicators of a training performance. And how do we get this insight from the cognitive load? It's also, we have a connection between the heart rate that is measured by the headset, the pupillometry, the pupil dilation, and the eye tracking. And when you compute all these data real time with analytics based on our AI that was developed by our labs, we produce an SDK inference that can be integrated in the software, the VR software training, and it gives you insight on how much the brain is used. Was the training successful? Is the trainee ready? Has he learned perfectly? And does he reach the level of performance that you need? And of course, I know that there are a lot of discussion here. We are talking about security and safety of the content. It is really manipulating sensitive data. It's about bioanalytics of one person during a training. So it's also back to HP business model. Our business model is based on hardware and software. We do not care of data. It's not our business. And we want to make sure that it's secure and protected. So that's why all the Omnicept software solution has been designed from day one, considering the safety and the security. So typically the HMD firmware secures the data during the capture, and there is no data, absolutely no data stored in the headset, nor on the cloud. Everything is on the client PC. It's designed to meet GDPR requirements, and it's also secure in a way that it's de-identified, so there is no possible connection between the trainee and the data. It's aggregated and secured, so you cannot have any hacking of this data. So that I just put this here because I think it's very important, considering what we are manipulating, that we take this a premium attention to make all the data management safe and secure. But I think it's better to show you some example rather than having a more theoretical discussion. So you understood from Jay's presentation what you can do in traditional VR. And if you add these bioanalytic sensors data to your application, it can become more immersive, more personal. So the first one, we have an example on soft skills. It's one of our partners, a company called Ovation. They are building a VR training solution for public speech. And what they are measuring, during the training in VR, which is a session of 2 or 3 minutes, when you have to, practically what I'm doing here, I'm in VR and I'm speaking in front of the public. In this application, they are measuring the pulse, the eye tracking, and the pupil dilation. That gives me the level of stress, the level of performance, that is measuring in real time. And when you have finished your training, you can read at the analytics of the training with your teacher, and you can point where you were stressed, where you had a concern, when it was not fluent, when it was difficult for you, and you can focus on this particular pain point in the future for the next session. It's really providing very useful insights with concrete data. And another one, which is more related to high risk and safety, you can see here in the bottom, it's a fire workers, fire department training in the US. And here what is important is to make sure that the fire workers stay calm and apply the procedures during the training. It's always exposed. There is always, you can have hazards coming in during the session. And so that's why it's important. So you see here, you have, you can see here on the side, there is real-time measurement of the heartbeat. And also looking at the eye tracking tells you if the trainee is refocusing on the key task and is not stressed too much. And another one, completely different, it's in the I mentioned maintenance and procedures. So for that one, I like very much the small curve that you see on the bottom with the red bars. It's a training for electrical maintenance in traditional industry. And they have to follow a very rigorous process because it can be dangerous, and they have to make sure that they do all the steps and they don't forget any tasks. And you can see in the curve here, you have the measurement real time. When the cognitive load is low, it really means that this part of the training was very well known. So there is basically nothing new to learn. But when you see the curve is going up, it means that the cognitive load is super high. Oops. Can you hear me again? I've been disconnected for 1 minute, for 1 sec. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So that's the beauty of VR. We can meet together, but when Wi-Fi is not there, we can disconnect. I'm disappearing. Yeah, so just to finish here, when you see on the top here, you see this is a pain point. So what happened is that the trainee is really detecting that this part of the training was not really well masterized, and he can redo and focus more on this part in the next session. So that's just to give you some example on how having this insight can improve and enhance a VR training. So I think that's it for me. I just put you in the contact, but I think you will be able to get it from the organization. We have in Netherlands, Johan de Man is the Netherlands VR and workstation specialist. So if you have any question or if you want to have demo or having more deep dive conversation, feel free to contact him. You have the mail, and you can also reach him in LinkedIn. I'm in charge of Europe XR lead, so I can also obviously have conversation with you. And I put there some very nice videos when you see the example I talk about. So thank you very much.
So Cecilia, that was a very interesting presentation. Thank you very much. It's I guess we could have some questions from the audience. Is there anyone who wants to get on the presentation? And yes, I'm moving to this side. And please, Jay, can you? Yes.
Well, yeah, I think this is probably really super cool because I know we're working together on this, but I just want to make sure that the example which you give is really good. We see the future of this massively. Look at the custom training for our pilots. You know, when you can watch where their eyes are focusing on, you know which parts you have to really concentrate to get them done really good. I think this is a fantastic technology, and I think that there's no limitations from what you can do with this. I think I'm really excited about this. Really cool. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah. After this impressive speech, please step on the stage. Then we can do the panel discussion or the questions together. Then you can join us. Yes, please. So Cecile, did you have any remarkable things you learned in working with these devices? Because I think people are getting a new experience, and maybe sometimes things pop up where you say, oh, I didn't think of that, but I did experience that.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing in VR is that when we work with customers, they have a clear idea what they want to do. And it's usually a very focused area. So they start working that, and then it generate a lot of other ideas. And they start with one tiny piece, and then they expand to different areas in training. So that's what mentioned Jay. It's really limitless, I think.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, you may.
One of the things which we're facing at the moment within the KLM, I don't know if it's possible, but we have an issue with the interview process within the KLM. So you know, people are being judged on how they look and how they come across. You know, where actually the first conversation you want to do is about what do they know, and you want to make at least the first interview maybe anonymous. This technology could probably help us a lot as well in this, I think, you know, just to actually get the real truth, if you understand what I mean, out.
Yeah. This is the interesting part because you don't give a judge on the first second on an image, but on what somebody is.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Exactly. Okay, but you write a job description. You look for somebody with that job description, and then you can actually test that job description.
Yeah,
properly.
Yeah. Whoa, great. Omar, you're on a microphone, please.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Thanks both for amazing presentations. Very inspiring and good to see these developments at your organizations. Cecile, obviously the new HP set is very advanced when it comes to tracking of all kinds of biometric signals. At the same time, we see more and more, let's say, the discussion emerging about what is happening with the data, but it's so close to personal data. What is your perspective from HP and in particular with the European perspective on what should happen with this data? How far can we go in using it versus how should we protect it?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And I think particularly in Europe, we are extremely sensitive to that, to the data protection. So as I mentioned, I can say as HP, we don't care about the data. We do nothing with it. So that's one first thing. And we are really, really sensitive on making it secure. So that's why the headset is it's capturing the data, but nothing is stuck on the headset. Everything goes to your PC, and it's not sent to anywhere else. So there is no cloud connection. There is no HP cloud somewhere that is collecting the data. So that's the first thing, is that to say that the data collected stays on the PC, nowhere else. That's the first thing. The second is that it's de-identified. So there is no connection. You don't have a name of a person. connected to the pearls or the eye tracking. So you will never be able to say it's Omar pearls at some time. That it's de-identified completely, and it's aggregated and secure in a way that it's bundled in, so that it's difficult to hack. So it's just the format is only readable by your VR application. So we try to secure as much as we can. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for that clarification.
Welcome.
Omar,
Hey,
thank
Omar.
you. I see. Jay?
Omar, just one comment to Omar. We're just watching Omar just now. When you want to talk, you actually lean towards the microphone.
Yeah, I do.
It's really cool to watch this. You know, you actually see that as a physical microphone. Huh?
Oh, absolutely. For me, it's real. Is there a world outside of this? I wasn't aware of that.
It's really cool to see this.
Bart, you can lean also over to the microphone. You have a question then.
Yeah, thank you. I actually have a question for Cecile from the live stream. It was from Evelyn. And she asked, you talked about this 75% retention rate after a year when doing something in VR as a training, compared to traditionally a presentation or reading a book. Is there any more insight of that research where you can get an in-depth view on how you got to that number, or what kind of specific outcomes that created
I don't know
that?
the way. I don't know the way we can communicate to the people, to the audience. This is based on a survey, and we are working with Neuroscience University in the US, and it's based on studies made by this university in California. I think I'm able to send. I'm able to connect some link when people can find more details on that.
Okay.
I think, Cecile, your contact details were in the presentation, so people can look back at the presentation, at the video. So if anyone is interested, I think they can send you an email or get in contact with you, and maybe you can provide the information they need. Yes?
With pleasure.
Great. Then I'm looking into the audience. Is there another question popping up? I've got a question. Is for Jay? Oh, is there somebody getting to the microphone? Not yet. Oh yeah. Wait, please. Christian, you can.
Thanks for the presentations. It was really really interesting. And
can you get a little bit closer to the microphone? Yeah, that's better. Yes, thank you.
Thanks. So, leaning over. Thank you for your presentations. There was even more already being done than I expected. It's really good and see all these new things. Thanks for that. I was just wondering, looking ahead, looking forward, is there any kind of sensors or hardware you would dream of that you could add to your AR or VR set, and even would enhance new possibilities? I'm just
your voice is very low, Christian. Did you hear the question?
I got his question loud and clear.
Okay.
If I could first take.
Go.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, as I said, within the KLM, and I think Cecile, she'll say something more about what they're doing in HP as well. But for us, there's a few things which are really important. As I said, we want to make virtual travel as real as possible. So that means, you can do it on a Segway, but eventually you want to do this on unidirectional treadmills. We're actually looking at this now. We're looking at full body tracking. Okay, so also with feel, and so we can literally pick things up in virtual reality. This is where we want to go. We want gravity in virtual reality. I talked about that example, picking up a flower. We want to literally be able to pick up a flower in virtual and put it towards your nose and smell that flower. It's technologically possible now. It's only a challenge to implement it, and it's the biggest challenge to industrialize it. So, this is where the challenge is. But without a doubt, at least for us as consumers, the HP build, we consume or we use. We need this stuff as quickly as possible, because if you look at virtual travel, what is your point of reference? Your point you travel now in the normal world, you need to make it as real as possible. So just biometrics, hardware, whatever, everything needs to be done.
Yeah, on our side, I think, I would two things. I would say, I mean, today in my hands, I have these big bulky controllers. Maybe for you as well. It's not really natural, so I would at some point having natural hand gesture tracking with haptic as well. So there are some early demonstrator when I remember I've tested an haptic glove when I was feeling the raindrops on my skin. That was really amazing. Today it's too big and it's not really industrialized, but that the things when we see in the future having more organic user interface and to capture my gesture and to make me feel the environment. So to use the touch feeling. So that's one aspect all about the haptics, what you mentioned, Jay. The other things about having more insights on the bioanalytics can be there are some investigation on getting more insight on the muscular activities of your face so that you can create more and more accurate avatars. That the two things we see.
Yeah.
And of course, getting the glasses lighter so that it make it transparent.
Yes. Smaller electronics. Yeah. More miniaturization.
Yeah, but that's just neurology. Yeah. So it's what everything you feel, you do. It happens in your head, in your brain. If you can manipulate your brain, then you can do anything. Trust me. And I was just to go a little bit deeper, I was in a virtual reality room a few days ago, and somebody had built a virtual reality university classroom. You know what it's like with all those desks. They go up like this, and you sit down, you hear your lecture. And when I was in it, I looked at this guy. I said, "Why did you build it like this?" He said, "Because then because this is what it looks like." And I said, "Did you feel comfortable sitting in these chairs when you were in university? Did it give you a good feeling?" He said, "No, I thought it was bloody awful." I said, "But why? You're in virtual reality. You can build anything you want. You're God here. You can do anything. So build something which you want to, because that affects the way then you will experience the experience. It's very important, huh?"
You could have built playgrounds or like
yes,
Nemo, which you have in Amsterdam.
Exactly. But this is the next one, huh? We're doing in a 3D world 2D presentations. This is actually crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard from Bart it had also to do with the benefits. No video could be shown. Yeah, so we need a little bit more benefit there also to experience.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Things.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Yeah, we
Thanks
mentioned just finished. We were focused mainly on, to your question, we were focused mainly on the hardware, I would say, but the software is also a big thing. So you can imagine we are still in a flat world that we export in a 3D, but you can imagine a designer, for example, a car designer in the future. And we start seeing that you can, instead of drawing your CAD file in 3D on your PC, you can draw it in 3D like that. So that also, there are a lot of innovation on the software side as well.
Yeah, like I saw these painters also painting in 3D, making sculptures.
Exactly.
That was really, thanks for the
endless possibilities.
Yeah.
So Christian, did you get your answer on really dreaming about new sensors and using that in the answers?
Yeah, I got some new ideas. New things.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got another question from
yes.
our live chat. So this one is from Marco van Schriek. And I think it's a question you both can answer. It's about, also your comment, Jay, about getting, this photorealistic environment. And he's talking about the uncanny valley effect, which, of course, is for the people who don't know it, if you want to try to make something hyper-realistic, there's this curve in which some things will look awful when you get really close to photorealistic, but not get it close enough. How do you close that gap? Because obviously this is a more abstract model, which works really well for the technology we use today. But how do you cross it and get it right without the effect of the uncanny valley effects? Maybe both of you can answer that in your own way.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, you may. Yeah.
Okay. To explain this, I'll tell you a little story. When we started about 2 years ago regarding virtual reality for meetings, what we did, we had those those Vive Pros, then just the old Vives, and what we did, we actually with photogrammetry, we actually completely programmed one of our meeting rooms within the KLM offices, and we thought, wow, that's really cool, looks really good. But what we need to do now is also to make an avatar of ourselves. So me and a colleague, we went all the way to a place in Utrecht in Holland, and we were scanned, really scanned as an avatar, and when you went into that room, and I went into that room as well, you saw that it was me. The quality was very good, a high polygon rate, but it was still a very, very good quality. And quite quickly, people were saying, "Yeah, but Jay, this is a little bit scary because I know it's you, but you look a little bit different." So that's the uncanny valley thing. So we said, "Okay, that's not the effect we want." So we said, "Oh, let's try an experiment now." So instead of getting rid of our avatars and going into these sort of avatars, we said, let's continue to meet with these avatars now for at least a month. And this is what we did. And one of the things that really surprised us, because I've studied the uncanny valley experience, I know exactly how it works, and we got a result which really surprised me. Is after about, well, for us it was about 4 or 5 different meetings, people start slowly to get over the uncanny valley feeling. They start to associate that avatar with a J2. And that was for me a surprise, because I thought, no, they will never accept this. They want these avatars. But what that means is people are able to make the distinction between the real J and the uncanny valley J. After the initial, let's say fright, when they first see me as an avatar, if you do it enough, people start to get used to and start to associate this avatar with you. And the cool thing is that this avatar never gets old, and I do. So that's okay. But it's a thing. For the first time, it's an issue. But you can get over it. At least that's our experience.
Okay, and maybe that's your experience, Cecile. Did you have also that experience?
I think we're not much involved in software development as you can be. I think I see there are a lot of debate right now in our software partners. Some are trying really to go to the ultra realistic environments. Some of them are still focusing on 360, for example, environments.
Yeah.
And some other are trying to get not necessarily so realistic training to focus on the task. So I think there is still a debate there. I'm not sure having the super ultra realistic make really sense here. What is important, at least for training part, entertainment is different, but for training part, what is important is to have the proper gesture.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the reason why we use these sort of avatars within the KLM, because you have to make a distinction. Yeah, I completely agree.
Okay, thank you. I think Roy has got a question about that too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a combination about the previous question and the question from Christian. The uncanny valley and what kind of sensor we would like to add. Where is the edge? Where is the boundary where we say, okay, this is acceptable and people like this? And also because we did a test, I think already 5 years ago, because before VR was a bit common like it is now, we did an experiment about people who could feel each other's heart rate. So in VR, you could shake each other's hands, but also feel the heart rate of the people. And people they were completely scared off. They just ran away. I don't want to feel that. It was so intimate. Where do you think that the boundary is now? Because that was 5 years ago and we didn't try it out again, but perhaps the boundary is now somewhere else. What is your opinion on that one?
When I do a demonstration, one of the first things that I do is this.
Getting too close.
How does that feel?
Yeah, that's. I just discussed it with my colleague yesterday. He
How
even
does
has a
that
social
feel?
space.
You're going to
is.
kiss, I think.
Exactly.
It's really
And
something like
that's-
that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because and this is the power of virtual reality. Yeah, you're making your mind crazy. It actually believes that I'm right next to you, I'm in front of you, I'm touching your nose. This is never going to change because it's something which is built in. So we just have to make. It needs new rules and regulations. It needs new etiquettes completely.
Yeah, and well, the
Is that a
strange
bit
thing
of
is,
an
of course,
answer?
the technology offers us the information. So if you look at the new 5 headsets or the Kinect sensors, they show us the information about the human posture, but also about heart rate and perhaps even the skin humidity or the moisture of the skin. But should we use it? At what moment can we use it?
For training, it'd be perfect, of course. Training our pilots, I want to know why their heart rate goes so high. This sort of thing. But maybe for dating sites, I don't know. Was it? Yeah, I think there are lots of endless possibilities. I don't know.
Yeah. Now trying to fool the system is a bit harder in VR. Normally you could say, "Oh, I really like it," and now we know with your heart rate. No, you didn't like it. You just were bored.
Yeah, exactly. But it's data, so you can trick data as well. Don't forget, you can manipulate data.
Exactly. And manipulation in
Roy,
VR.
You've got some experience with your students. You dealt about the heart rate, but are there other things you experienced the past 5 years on this subject?
Yeah, well, especially when we had a project with was more about the mental health care, what to do, what not to do. So anxiety training, etc. That was more focused on how can you make an ideal space for yourself. But we saw that even if you do anxiety training, and whether it's on fear of stage or claustrophobia, the effect of that fear was the same in VR as it was in reality. Yeah. So you could already see that you were tricking the mind in such a way that you could do that anxiety training completely in VR, and the effects were completely the same. So we could people in elevators, and we make the elevator smaller by the minute. Up to the moment that we saw that the heart rate was too high and they were really scared, then we opened up the elevator a bit. So you see it's going on.
Yeah, it's back to what you said. VR putting us in a very immersive environment that our brain really feels that we are all together in the same room here. And when you stay after 1 hour in it, you really believe that you are in. So there are some ethical questions that are posed to the technology right now, because as you said, we have the capability to technically, we can know everybody's heart rate right now. So that's technically possible, which was not the case in the past. So that's ethical questions that are being discussed with the software developers, clearly. I still see that anyway, at some point, there will be a barrier from the users. You, Roy, I'm not sure you will be okay to use a software application that is measuring and sharing your pulse. So I trust that...
at the moment, yes, but it's more about less about, well, being a bit experienced. But a new person, indeed, I like your remark about the ethics in VR. That's something that it's not so much discussed at the moment.
Nope. It's paramount. It has to happen. And if we don't figure out what the rules and regulations are in virtual reality, we're going to have an issue. Yeah, really, trust me. Because you can do some strange things in virtual reality,
Exactly.
Yeah, and to go back what Cecile said over the reality, over the immersion. A little bit of a story. I think about 2 months ago, I was doing a virtual reality session with a few colleagues in the KLM, and I was teaching a team, and there were other people at home. And I saw one of the most amazing things happen, and these people didn't even realize it. So what happened? We had a team, they had to meet in virtual reality, and somebody couldn't attend. One person couldn't attend, but the rest from the team, they're spread out all over Holland, and they were all in virtual reality together. So anyway, and they're in their homes. So they all met in virtual reality, and they all talked and did their thing. Now, in the afternoon, all these people went to the office, physically to the office. And when the one person who was in virtual reality in the office also walked in, it was, hey, a long time no see, I haven't seen you for ages. And the other colleague said, but you haven't seen me for ages either. I said, I spoke to you this morning. Oh, but that was in virtual reality. She couldn't even make the distinction between virtual reality and the physical world. And for me, that was like, wow, then it's really becoming real now.
Yeah, way. Whoa.
And back to my point on the users defining the limit. I don't know if you have seen that, Jay, in KLM, but we have a lot of customers developing VR training for their employee for maintenance, for example, and they have a portion of the trainee that refuse to go in VR. So there is some barrier of adoption of the technology, and some people don't want to be immersed. I don't know if you see that in KLM.
Big time. We saw it first with augmented reality. We have a big maintenance environment, and we wanted our people to use HoloLenses. And when I was there, we put the HoloLens on their head, and they worked with the HoloLens. As soon as I turned my back and went, they took them off and went back to their pieces of paper. Yeah, which is obvious because they think this is the way to work. There are two solutions to this. One is to make sure there's no alternative, so you take away the option for paper. That's the one. Or the other one is the adoption process to improve it. Don't begin with work. Begin with play. And that's one thing we've noticed. And you need certain people within the environment who are champions, and they will take it up. That's what we've experienced.
So I think there's another question from Omar here. This microphone.
Let me lean again forward because Jay likes it so much.
Great.
One remark when it comes to the security and ethics part, what might be worthwhile to check out the XR Safety Initiative, xrsi.org, which I think is one of the first organizational movements to really and thoroughly discuss ethics, privacy around XR. So, as Jay mentioned, it's a crucial topic. And it's good that there are some people looking at this. My question to both of you is, looking at the ambitions and plan you have and the plans that you presented, what do you see as the major barrier when it comes to, it could be anything, hardware, software, ecosystem, funding? What do you need to make the ambitions you have real?
Yeah, at the moment, there's two things. Oh, you go first, Cecile.
Yeah, I mean, on our side, I think it's VR is a solution. So you need the hardware that we start having, and you need software. And today, the software platform are not unified. So it's basically each vendor has its own format and platform, and it's still you still have niche software vendors that are developing your application. To make a parallel, you don't have a PowerPoint to develop a type of application to develop your VR training. So I think that's today the main barrier to the larger scale growth, is that the software ecosystem is still very fragmented. But it's natural for new technology. So I think it will progressively grow, and when we will more and more get big players, and also having more easy and customization for the application. So at the end, you can imagine that a company can develop their own software internally.
Oh. And Jay, you have something to add to that?
Yeah. Our biggest barriers to adoption, at least widespread within our company at the moment, one is financial. Let's be truthful. It's an issue within the KLM at the moment. We've got no money. Well, we do have money, but it's more in the production and in the innovation at the moment. So that's the one. And the other is the mindset that people are prepared to do this. We find it difficult, to give it in a presentation within a PowerPoint or making somebody watch a film. It doesn't even partially explain what this is. And now to get those people so far that they put a headset on their head is for us a huge challenge. And I think the last thing is the killer app, of course. Yeah, we're waiting for that killer thing which you can only do in virtual reality. You can't do anything else. You can only use it in VR or AR, and it brings in lots of money and makes your company very commercial. That's what we think is important.
Great,
so
thanks.
Omar is yes, okay.
Yeah, very helpful and insightful.
So we have to work on a killer app. That's what Bart, you've gotten a question on the mic.
Yeah, I think Cecile might have dropped out because of her internet or even the battery was out, because we are already far in the program.
Yes.
I got one question which I'm interested in, Jay. Somebody was talking about regulations. Of course, when you have traveling, you always do take into account, dealing with something like customs when crossing barriers. And of course, with the internet, it was so disruptive. It was a bit of the Wild West in the beginning, and it's starting to get regulated quickly now, or even more. When posting something on Twitter, even the president of the United States gets banned. How do you think? Now we know this with the internet, and we know something can be disruptive. How do you think something like customs will transform into something like virtual traveling?
Yeah, I've got a strange view about this. I think this technology which we're in at the moment is going to completely change the world which we're in at the moment. I think customs and borders, and this has the potential to just to throw that all away. This technology is a great equalizer. As long as it's available for everybody, that's the most important thing. But of course, you're going to always have societies which they have a different opinion and freedom of choice and that sort of thing. That's always going to be an issue. Just look at China and India at the moment. It's difficult to get these headsets in India. You believe it or not, but it really is. It's not easy. So how do you get that public then? How do you get them involved? And where? How do you get everybody on board? That's the big question. Yeah, but I'm not again, Pat. I hope I am asking you. I'm probably giving you a question instead of an answer. But I believe. I believe this technology is a big enabler, and if we do it right, we don't need borders and customs anymore. We don't.
Okay. And I even have a follow-up question from somebody from the live stream as well. They say, what is a realistic time frame for fragmentation to subsidize? I'm not sure what the rest of the question is.
Then it's very difficult to answer.
To subsidize.
If it's from the chat bar, you can put it on the screen if you want.
Oh, is this something I can try? Let me see.
Should be able to
maybe
open
we
the
can.
chat.
The left one, I reckon. I think it should be on everybody's screen. Is this something we can read? Oh yeah. If you can stand over here. No, it's readable if you stand over here. This is the chat from the live stream.
I can't see anything.
Oh yeah, to Cecile. What would be a realistic time frame for this software fragmentation to subsidize?
Ik blijf morgen thuis.
I think I believe so. Sorry, I'm back. I had some problem with my headset. So I believe the question is back to what I said on the software being fragmented, I suppose. So when you look at the so when you look at the story of other initiatives or technologies, it takes, I would say, it's something about 5 years to get all the main players grouping. I mean, we start seeing large.
No, we've lost her again.
Yeah, I think her connection is a bit. Maybe turn this off as well.
I can ask.
Maybe Bart, we can also give Christian a last question and go into the lobby so everybody could have a little one-to-one discussion for looking at the batteries and the duration. So maybe Christian, you can put your question on.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Jay, just a small question on, you said that you already do virtual meetings with these different people from different locations for a while to avoid the traveling. Did you ever had a meeting where there was a new person in that meeting which you didn't meet in real life yet? And then you kind of had to measure or read the emotions. And how did you experience the difference between the people you already know, and the voices you knew, and the new person?
It's this is a neurological thing. Huh? It's just really it's a very very good question. What you're asking now, because this happens to me often, very often. Last week it happened to me. I was talking to somebody for about a month long in virtual reality, talking to their avatar like we're talking now. And for me, I associated this person with this avatar. Then I met this person in real life. It was a crazy situation because you look at each other and you try to size each other up, and you're looking at the body language and you're trying to figure it out. So what you're doing then is collecting information. So the next time you're in virtual reality and somebody raises their voice or lowers their voice or whatever, you're trying to gauge and guess what they're thinking and how they're reacting. We work with a lot of French people within Air France KLM. And body language is extremely important for French people. It's the way they communicate, much more than Dutch people do. So it's for us, talking to French people, which I've never met in real life, is a challenge. It's in the first sessions, is always a guess. The only thing you have is voice.
Yeah, that's the only place where only thing you can read the emotion.
Yep.
Of course, you have the smiling, but it's different. There are so many details. It's interesting it's interesting that this technique of the VR is realizing that there are so many non-verbal communication in human life.
But Christian, I think this is crazy. These hands, we call them Italian hands, because in real life I don't communicate with my hands that much. I don't. But in virtual reality, I use them for everything. I'm compensating the whole time. I'm using my hands to get the message across.
Do you still have?
Yeah. Nice.
Sorry?
Thanks for the insight. Very good to
okay. Sorry? Oh.
So, I think, are there any last questions? Because if there are not, I think I will end the session on this stage. We can go to the lobby or we can go outside where the sun is shining and have some discussions together. Then I don't see anyone on a microphone, so please let me thank you for attending this session. Jay, thank you. Cecile, thank you. I'm not aware of Cecile's in the lobby, but I get also a message on my device that the battery is getting low. So this was session 2 from 3. Tomorrow there will the last session of this Industrial Reality 2021. So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you Bart for engaging with Connect 2. And let's have the last 15 minutes enjoy outside this room. So thank you very much. I didn't have an applause button on my VR device, but please, Cecile and Jay, thank you very much for this information sharing with us. Thank you.
No problem. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Wat zei je? Ik zei net, hoeveel batterij heb jij zo nu nog?
Ik heb 30.
Zo.
Oké. Oh, dat zit nog op 20.
Low battery.
Ja.
Of die ene. Bijzondere ervaring dit.
Echt tot de laatste moment.
Blijft lastig, hè?
Op de
ja,
staan.